Audio Bookshelf presents Andre by Lew Dietz.
Hello, this is Toni Goodridge. After Lew Dietz and my father, Harry Goodridge, wrote the book A Seal Called Andre, children from all over the country wrote saying there should be a book about Andre that they could read and understand. Lew Dietz, our neighbor, has been a friend of the family since before I was born. One day I said to him, "Now that Andre is famous, I think you should write a book about what it was like for a little girl to grow up with a famous seal." "Toni," he said, "I think you're right." So this is the story I told him about growing up with a seal called Andre.
Chapter 1. The Goodridge Family. My name is Toni. I was 7 years old that day in May when a baby harbor seal came to live with the Goodridge family. Andre grew up to be as famous as Smokey the Bear. But Andre is real, and his story is a true one. My father, Harry, is a tree surgeon, but he's also a scuba diver who used to spend many hours swimming underwater. Diving deep down in the dark, cold waters of Maine is very lonely and often dangerous. For years, he'd been thinking that a harbor seal would make the ideal diving companion. I thought that this was a wonderful idea, as did my brother and sisters. There are 5 of us. The oldest are the twins, Steve and Sue. Then came Carol and Paula, and finally me. Being the baby of the family wasn't always easy. My brother and sisters were usually too busy with their own affairs to find time for me. I guess that was the reason I learned to talk to birds. I found birds understanding and very sensible. My mother, Thalis, is also understanding and sensible too, but she wasn't at all sure that adding a baby seal to the family was a good idea, for we already had a house full of pets. But finally she decided that having one more wouldn't make all that much difference, so long as she didn't have to clean up after it. We had the usual frogs, snakes, and pet mice, even ants. Steve, who was planning to be an engineer, liked to capture dragonflies and load them down with ants, just to see how many ants a dragonfly could fly off with. When Paula was little, she would put diapers on chickens and push them around in her baby carriage. If the neighbors thought we were all a bit odd, we thought it was perfectly natural to have birds and animals for playmates. I had a pet rooster named Jake, and a fat, fussy hen named Mrs. Cluck Cluck. When they had been going together for years, I thought it was time they got married. I dressed Mrs. Cluck Cluck in a white wedding gown with a hole cut out in the train for her tail feathers. The wedding was held down by the duck pond. Our pigeon, named Walter, was best man. Walter spent all his time around the pond with the ducks. Maybe he thought he was a duck, too. Then there was a flying squirrel, Charlie, who lived somewhere in our house. We never did find out where. He would come gliding out each night at dusk to join us for supper. He loved bananas. Reuben was our cock robin. He fell out of his nest one day, and Steve brought him home. Reuben could never get enough to eat. We would spend hours collecting and feeding him worms until it seemed that he would burst. But he still wanted more worms. He loved splashing in water, and whenever I took a bath, he would fly in and sit on the edge of the tub. And my mother couldn't wash dishes without Reuben getting in her way. One night, when he fell into the soapy water, he looked a sorry sight. There was also a one-legged seagull my father called Sam Seagull. A friend, finding him wounded at the dump, had brought him to us to care for. Everyone brought us wounded wild animals and birds. Like Mother, they didn't think that one more would make all that much difference. We had a dog, of course, a fat, lazy beagle named Toot, and a pet rabbit named Bugs. Now, Toot didn't know that beagles were supposed to chase rabbits, and Bugs would point this out to Toot. When Bugs got bored, which was often, he would nudge Toot out of his